If you own a home in Spruce Grove or are planning to buy one, these latest real estate market trends from May 2023 might be interesting to you. I know there is a lot going on in this market, so stick around until the end where I will share some hidden insight that you can take advantage of whether you're thinking of buying or selling in this area. To get started, I'll be using data that includes all residential information specific to just Spruce Grove. A good place to start is with good old supply and demand. In May, there were 191 residential units for sale, which is down 10.3% from last month. But compared to last May, this number of listings is 24.8% higher, which is good for buyers because then they have more options. Another interesting stat to help keep perspective is comparing to the 5-year average for May. If we do that, this May has 19% less listings than the 5-year average, which explains a bit of the competitive market we're in. Next, we need to see what's been happening with demand so we can get a fuller picture of this market. Of the 191 residential homes listed for sale in Spruce Grove in May, 100 of them sold, which is up 7.5% from last month, but down slightly from last year. And again, looking at the 5-year average for May, sales this May were 11% higher. So as you can tell, it's still an active market, even though we've had considerations like interest rate increases on mortgages. Buyers are still out there taking action. Okay, so now that we know a bit about the supply and demand that's been happening in our market, we can put it together to calculate months of supply, which is a nice way to get a quick pulse on the market. It tells us how many months it would take for the current number of homes listed to sell without adding any new listings, based on the average number of sales happening. And a number between 4 and 6 months indicates a balanced market, so pretty even between buyers and sellers. And prices tend to stay pretty stable. A seller's market is usually when there's less than 4 months, and supply is lower, which can cause multiple offers and price increases like we are feeling right now. Last, a buyer's market would be greater than 6 months of inventory, which then can cause prices to come down. This May, month-over-month supply and demand changes resulted in 1.91 months of supply for Spruce Grove. This is down from 2.29 last month, so a slightly stronger seller's market. However, it is important to note that even with lower supply, buyers are still being choosy. Great homes that are priced appropriately and present well are still seeing multiple offers. Some homes are even selling before they hit the MLS. And homes that are in poor condition, don't show well, or are priced too high, likely will not sell quick, and likely will require price reductions in order to sell, which we are seeing. It's also important to note that looking at months of supply at a micro level can help determine a strategy for buying and selling in a specific market. For example, using the Edmonton area stats for months of supply was at 3, which is still seller's territory, but a bit of a different perspective than the micro level analysis for Spruce Grove sitting at 1.91, which, for example, could lead a buyer to be disappointed if an offer isn't presented in a manner that is more conducive to the seller's preference. Another commonly used stat is the average sold price, but it's important to keep in mind that an anomaly high or low sold price can sometimes skew results. So doing a quick look at the median price can also be helpful, just to help keep perspective. So, looking at Spruce Grove for May, the average sold price was $408,250. This is down 5.6% from April, but up 4.3% from last year. It's interesting to note that the month of supply was higher in April at 2.29, but the average price was also higher. So if we look at the median sold price, it might help to explain it. The median sold price in April was $415, and in May it was $395. However, the differential between the average and the median was still pretty consistent for both months, with approximately a $15,000 difference. April can be a pretty busy spring market here, and when we add in other economic factors, like buyers with rate holds expiring or wanting to take action before further interest rate increases, these could have resulted in the greater competition among buyers in April. Time will tell in the next few months how this will all continue to play out. It's also interesting to note that the 5-year average sold price for Spruce Grove is $373,588, so our current average sold price for May is roughly 9.27% higher. Now, some of you may wonder why the average sold price is higher when inventory or supply compared to last year is higher and sales are lower. That can partly be because the number of solds doesn't necessarily capture all active buyers, and not all homes listed are wanted by these buyers. In a smaller city like Spruce Grove, there can be a lot of competition for a specific price range or a specific type of home or location, which can cause competition and the average price to go up. Okay, moving along. The average list to sale price ratio in May was 98.4%, which means properties listed were selling for 98.4% of the list price, so just a little bit under asking. April was also 98.4%, and compared to last year, this May was down 1.5% from last May, which makes sense given how busy the spring market was last year. This stat, though, you sometimes have to take with a grain of salt because seller strategy can definitely impact it. For example, in sellers' markets, some may choose to underprice their home to create a multiple offer situation, which can then create stats like sold for 25% over list, which isn't necessarily an accurate picture. In Spruce, as you can see, most homes appear to be getting priced appropriately for today's market. Some may still sell over list, but other terms can also be more important to the seller, like no financing condition. Days on market is another important indicator. In Spruce Grove in May, it was taking 39 days on average for a home to sell. That is trending down from 52 days in April, but up from 26 days last May. The 5-year average for May is 48 days, so you can see that things are still moving a bit quicker than average. In competitive markets, it isn't uncommon for buyers to shorten the condition period, but right now some of that really just isn't possible, as many lenders are swamped and are requiring a full 2 weeks for conditions. Alright, if you're thinking about buying real estate in the next little bit, mortgage rates are also important, and in May have ranged around 4.3 to 6.7%. However, these are just guides because there's so many factors involved. Your credit file, if you're going through a traditional bank or an alternative lender, if you choose fixed versus variable, the term length, and whether it's conventional or not, meaning how much you're putting for a down payment. So definitely there's a lot to consider. But if you're an active buyer, it's a good idea to work with your lender and get a 90-day rate hold so that you have that secured. So you might want to talk to your lender about that. As added insight, and given the nature of our economy at the moment, I've also included some interesting stats for us to watch. Inflation, because the Bank of Canada has been increasing the overnight rate to try to control this, with the goal of getting it to 2%. When the target is increased, banks and other lenders respond by raising their prime rates. This immediately impacts variable rate mortgages and home equity line of credit, as we've seen many times. Fixed rate mortgages are tied to bond yields, which are sitting around 3.7%. If bond yields go up, the cost to lend money increases and fixed mortgage rates go up. Now that was a lot of data, but as you can see, it's all important and related in real estate, as it gives you a feel for how liquid the market is, what type of market you're in, and the appropriate buying or selling strategy. Months of supply can be a great quick reference to give you a feel for the market. As I mentioned, quality home supply is still low in Spruce Grove, especially at the more affordable price range, usually around the $425 to $450, which isn't surprising with the increased interest rates. Word on the street is that these higher rates could be around for the rest of 2023 and even into 2024. However, as we continue to watch other favorable economic fundamentals in our province, like record high immigration, continued in-migration to Alberta, BC and Ontario love our real estate prices. Real estate prices versus average income is lowest in Canada. Significant job growth, which can be hard to grasp when you live here, I get that. But more and more are attracted to our province and the Edmonton area specifically. Spruce Grove is continuing to grow. Just drive around and look at all of the development. It's a younger community that offers a great quality of life for people and families. And more people are agreeing that the highway drive with a cup of coffee is much preferred to the congested stop and go traffic in Edmonton. and if you can get a home a bit cheaper, it makes it worthwhile. But as a smaller city, many homes sell before hitting the MLS, so it can be helpful to be connected with a local realtor that has the inside goods. So the bottom line is, your situation is unique, and these top-level community stats may not be the same for your specific area. Similar, but not the same. They are great for getting insight, but if you're thinking about selling and want to know what your home is worth and how this data applies, you can reach out with no strings attached. Or even if you aren't looking to sell, but you're curious about homes selling in your neighborhood, I can set you up on a neighborhood watch, so you can easily stay in the know about solds without having to contact a realtor every single time. You'll just get an email when a home sells, and I can do that for you in a matter of seconds. Last, if you're thinking about buying or just want information, I'm here for that too. Send me a message or give me a call for an easy conversation so you can know what your options are, and then you can decide what's best for you. Otherwise, feel free to check out my other YouTube videos or my social media, and I'll be back in July with an updated real estate market report.